Well, I had to reverse the image in order to see 10.9, but it's so fascinating that I was able to find something that resembles 10.9, but whatever. All right, so this is a work by Jean-Michel Basquiat. He's paying homage to Yardbird, or Charlie Bird Parker. Charlie Parker died of a heroin overdose, just like Jean-Michel Basquiat, the artist who painted this work. It's a sad reality. I watched Ken Burns' jazz documentary, and they talked about how the jazz musicians took heroin in an effort to experience life in a way that others who didn't take heroin, could not have experienced life. And there was something in the documentary to the effect that for those who tried the drug and who experienced it, they knew something that others did not know. But what a price you had to pay to join that club. You had to ravage your body, destroy your liver, destroy your body, your internal organs, to be a part of that club. And Charlie Parker was a member of that club. Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, many others, I'm sure, but those are the ones that I can come up with. And Jean-Michel Basquiat as well. This is a work. This is a large canvas here, but the canvas has 28 pieces of paper that were placed on the canvas. So those are 28 separate panels on one large canvas. 28. All right. And one panel in particular really caught my eye. The things that Jean-Michel Basquiat wrote on there. Well, there are a few things that actually caught my eye, but let's look at each panel a little closer, shall we? Negus. Do you see that? He's written Negus above Jesus. He's written Abyssinia. Abyssinia refers to Ethiopia. Negus refers to King of Kings. And then he has Jesus in there. So basically what I see when I look at that is I see him talking about Black Jesus and the connection to Ethiopia right there. At least he was thinking about Jesus, Ethiopia, and the like. He also includes Nadir Shah, which I did a quick search on Nadir Shah and found something related to the number 108, which I thought was interesting. And then just above Nadir Shah's name, it looks to be the number 10. And then even above that, you have this writing, Muni Shri Sukhverti. I think all that is Indian, because when I typed in Muni Shri into Google, I found something related to Hindu or Indian in India. All right, so that panel really struck me. That one right there, Negus. To see the word Negus in a Jean-Michel Basquiat work of art, that was something else. This one, you have to study it to decipher it. I see cough suppressant. I see immoral. I see terminal, glass steel. I see a lot there. Nothing that really sticks out. I see syphilis. Here we have another one, another panel. There are 28 of these, so we're just going to go through them. I see Bunker Hill. That's related to Los Angeles. There was or is a Bunker Hill in Los Angeles. Jellystone, tailfins, survival rations, children's cartoons from rockets and missiles. A lot of different references. Nothing stands out or piques my curiosity. Azov, faith healer, roasting boar, intoxicated 1400, pragmatic sanction, Turkish 12. All of these references could be lead to a search on Google, and maybe something will come up. Yeah, I see Austro-Russian. When I see Azov, that reminds me of something Russian. It sounds Russian to my ear, but again, it doesn't. I don't know much about whatever he was talking about there. Whenever I see asbestos, man, asbestos is very deep because I see asbestos often in Basquiat's work. It's there. And what I learned about asbestos recently is what I learned about asbestos basically solidified this one idea for me. Okay, asbestos is created from minerals that are taken from Africa. Period. So anytime I see asbestos written on Jean-Michel Basquiat's artwork, I think that he's telling us or reminding us about the Atlantic slave trade, about slavery in Africa, about minerals being exploited, about Africa being exploited for its mineral deposits and so forth and so on. Because asbestos is a product that comes from the minerals in Africa. Same thing with our cell phones. Coltan is a mineral that our cell phones need to operate, and you can only find that in Africa. And so that's another example. But asbestos is there. What else do we have here? Participating outlets. That sounds like marketing right there. Horse funeral at the bottom. Peak. Electric train. Locomotive. Forces of good versus forces of evil. All right. Severe guilt. Participating guilt. A lot of things going on here. 1932. Chrysler Plymouth locomotive. Okay. All right. El Diablito, Diablito. I think that's what he wrote there. It's obscured because the black paint is crossed it out, sort of. So he's written on top or painted on top of words or images. We have like the pitchfork for the devil. So El Diablito is represented in writing as well as in a drawing, an image. Let's see what next he has. Okay, now this one right here piques my interest and curiosity because he mentions the Manchu, the Manchu period or the Manchu people, summer palace of the Manchu emperor. And I see Manchu and immediately it reminds me of Diggable Planets and See Knowledge or Doodlebug's verse where he mentions the Manchu squad, he said. And it's interesting when artists echo, each other. Even though it may not be intentional, it's like, wait a minute, Jean-Michel Basquiat found something of value in the story of the Manchu, and so did See Knowledge or Doodlebug from Diggable Planets. I'm like, wow, that makes me want to, that really piques my curiosity. That whets my appetite for, something interesting to learn about the Manchu. So I had to go to Google and do a little research on the Manchu and discovered that there are 10 million Manchu and they're the largest minority in China, third largest minority in China, something like that. So it's just something to think about. Have to do more research on that though. All right, we've got Stanislaus Pontowski, is that? Rome. Frederick August, is that Augustus? Petersburg, maybe. Colonel. I wonder if that Frederick refers to Frederick Douglass. I don't know. Death, something. Now the words are obscured because of the Basquiat painted over them. $1.15 an hour. $1.15 an hour. Okay. Again, we're looking at the panels or the posters that were put on a larger canvas. 28 different poster pieces of poster paper. All right, now this one piques my interest and my curiosity. Look, because Basquiat wrote Korea in there. Do you see it in red? Korea. That really speaks to me because I lived in Korea. I lived in Korea for nearly a decade. So I saw that and I'm just like, oh, Basquiat is like, he's hinting directly at me like, Larry, are you paying attention? Like, of course I'm paying attention. I am. And there it is. Something juicy for me to nibble on. Sort of like what is it? What is it? An Easter egg, they say in TV shows and movies. They're Easter eggs. I feel like that's an Easter egg for me, for iSee109, because that's related directly to me. All right, on this one, we've got some cartoon characters. We've got a crown. We've got a lot of cartoonish stuff. Little mouse, cafeteria, do not jar. That's all, folks. Yeah, a lot of cartoon references there. All right, now we're getting into some deep, historic stuff. Ottoman Empire, helado de coco. Is there a history about chocolate ice cream that I have to delve into? Helado de coco. In 1739, Admiral Veron sacked Portobello. That's interesting. Little tidbit, little bit of history that he drops on this this poster, on this panel. Ahmad III, agnostic, vortex, French crown, Coco decline. Mustafa's brother. Mustafa's brother. Mustafa, that makes me think of the Lion King. Scar was Mustafa's brother, but I don't think he was talking about that Mustafa because that movie wasn't released until after Jean-Michel was dead and gone. All right, this panel here shows the paw. We've got arrows going in all sorts of directions, and then we have paw, P-A-W, and then we have what looks like a paw print above it. Now, the one reason why paw catches my eye and captures my attention is because I've seen paw in other paintings. A lot of these words haven't repeated in other paintings, but paw has certainly been used more than once. We've got other words. We've got cheeses. We've got Dick York. We've got oatmeal. William, Hannah, and Joseph Barbera. So those are obvious references to Hanna-Barbera. Hanna-Barbera, the what are those guys? The cartoonists, right? So these are cartoons that he's referencing here. All right. We've got some numbers. All right, we got a phone number, actually a 1-800-541-2000 number that he repeats over and over again. We've got the word steaks crossed out with some another word that's been painted over, and then an image, a cartoon-esque image. All right, we have to pull back from the image in order to see the image that Jean-Michel painted on top of these words. But what we're looking at now gives us a view at what is under that picture. Okay. So we've got Russia, steaks, Garrison or Harrison, and some other words. Charles the 10th. Is that Charles the 10th or is that Charles the 11th or 12th or whatever? That reference, Charles the 10th, that one, I'm really interested in, because that's another Easter egg for me. Charles X was born on October 9th. He either was born on or died on October 9th. October 9th, y'all, that's 10-9. That's a 10-9 reference. So on my Instagram page, when I post pictures of King Charles X, it's because of 10-9 and the connection to October 9th. So that's pretty surprising to find that Basquiat has that name there. What do we have here? Delacroix, maybe? Dukes of Savoy. All right. The Jesuits here expelled from Portugal and France and Spain. The Jesuits. Interesting. All right. One of the reasons why the Jesuits would pique my curiosity at this point in time is because I've been interested in California missions. And the missions, the 21 missions all throughout California, well, they were first operated by the Franciscan monks, and then later I'm not sure of the order of the process of the chronological order, but I think it went the Franciscan monks first, then the Jesuit monks, and then the Dominican monks. But, I only know this because I've recently been interested in the history and been looking it up, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me. Victor Amadeus, despotism, maybe that's what he means, despot, terrible leaders. All right, let's keep going. Look at some more of these different posters. Nawab of Bengal, Hogarth's etching of John Wilkes. Was that spelled John Wilkes, maybe? Versus George II, something Lord North. When painting and threats. What does that say? Shady business ventures, sources of crisis. Shady business ventures, sources of crisis. That's something to think about. Something really to think about. All right. What is this? Human cannonball written twice. Gorilla telepathy. White man on safari. I would guess that says man. White man on safari. Native something boys. I don't know. All right. In one final blow. A lot of different references there. Stars, 4 stars, 14 ounce. What is this? I can't make out what think milky stars, something. I don't know. I can't make that out. Moon, 7 Years War. Hardware, better. 830. Crispus Attucks High School. All right, when he mentions Crispus Attucks, especially Crispus Attucks High School, he's referencing the school that Charlie Parker attended. Okay, according to the research that I've done, Charlie Parker attended Crispus Attucks Elementary School, not the high school. So I wonder why it's Crispus Attucks High School that Jean-Michel mentions in the paintings and not the elementary school. All right. Again, don't quote me on that, but I think that was one of the discrepancies, one of the things that I found, like, wait a minute, that's not right. So what's he talking about there? All right, next, West Indies, coach, Battle of Saints. That looks like LOL, like laughing out loud. Like that would precede the usage or the creation of LOL, because I think LOL came around in like the 2000s, early 2000s, when people were online. Like I remember using BRB for Be Right Back, LOL, lots of laughs, or lots of love, whatever you wanted it to mean. But this is pre, texting online. You have to remember, Basquiat did not have the internet. And all of these references were based upon his personal curiosity and interest in these historic events, from things that he learned about through books, television, and I guess conversation as well. But those were the greatest sources of information: the books, television, movies, television, radio, perhaps. But it's fascinating that he has all of this wealth of knowledge accessible to him, so that he can produce his work. Of course, it's easy when the books are right in front of you, and you can pick up the knowledge, pick up the information immediately, and just jot them down. But he touches on so many different subjects. It's so fascinating, the fact that he even mentions these things, or calls them, calls them and calls their spirit onto that work of art. And then you also have to wonder, well, why did he put that there? It's a mystery, but it's a beautiful mystery too. All right, so now we got some French history with Marie Antoinette, Louis XVI, Dewey Decimal System, George Mason, the Masons maybe, okay, Article 1, Versailles, Article 1, hand-to-hand combat, the French commander at Rochambeau and Washington prepare the attack on Yorktown. That's a history I'm unfamiliar with, but it sounds like there's a lot going on there, and we could probably get the full picture by doing a Google search and figuring all that stuff out. Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake. George Washington, the French history, Louis the 16th and all. All right, here we go. All right, the word that pops out for me is xenophobia. Xenophobia. One more thing to remember, he was so young, 25 years old, to have access to all of this information, to have access to all of this, to have all these words, this diction, floating around in your mind. Like, this is wow. There's Egypt. There's xenophobia, assured British Indian domination, the big knife, Algiers, the Sultan, Pasha, representing the Sultan, how bitter, Cairo, sublime port. Fascinating indeed. Fascinating stuff. All right. A solar eclipse, UFOs, chaos, crunchberries. Crunchberries, really? Hall of Justice, safety, Luther, the earth is breaking up. Breakfast, toast, juice, eggs. And he has a pyramid. That's an obvious pyramid there. All right. A bunch of references. I couldn't tell you the narrative, couldn't tell you what he's, talking about specifically. All right, here's another Louis the 16th reference, 1774, through 1792, something. So he's something, I think in French, tiers état, I don't know. The priest, the soldier, the peasant, the lawyer. And then there's a portrait of Louis the 16th, right? So he's paying homage to Louis the 16th. That's clear. That's evident. That's it. Ooh, this one really piques my interest because, again, I'm just astonished by his vast knowledge and references. Okay, I can only appreciate this panel right here because I learned something about the person that is referenced here. And because I learned about that person, I did some research and I'm more familiar with that person, and I'm like, it's an interesting story. So perhaps someone at some point in time told him the story, or maybe he read a book and did the discovery on his own. I'm really fascinated because for me to have learned it, I had to go to Google, I had to look at a movie, and I wonder, Wait a minute. The movie that I watched was released within the last, 10 or 15 years. So Basquiat wasn't alive when that movie was released. So he didn't even have that as a reference. He only had books and people, maybe television to talk about, okay? But here's what the reference is about. It's about Aimee Semple McPherson. Aimee Semple McPherson, all right? They made a movie about her life. You can do a Google search and discover some information about her. But I'm going to tell you about her briefly right now. So this lady, Aimee Semple McPherson, basically was a religious leader. And she was a con artist, and she made people believe that she could heal them when she really couldn't. But she was a cult leader. And I know this because my mom has a friend and a client who lives near the church that Aimee Semple McPherson led. And one day when I saw that church, I wondered, hey, what is that building? Because it's right here in Los Angeles. It's a large building, and I was just curious. So curiosity led me to the story of Aimee Semple McPherson. I did the research. I found out she was a charlatan. She was the spiritual leader. She, just wanted the fame and the money and all that kind of stuff. Now, what's interesting, the story goes, she's just a regular human being. So she was filled with lust, and she ran off with, a Mexican dude, her Mexican lover, and went down to Mexico. Or maybe it wasn't even a Mexican dude, but she skipped out of town and went to Mexico to be with her lover. And because no one knew where she was, this was just a little weekend tryst, or, well, it lasted longer than a weekend. But because her public image was so pristine and clean, no one would believe, or no one wanted to believe that she had, desires, carnal desires, and that she was just a regular, person just trying to make it through life like everyone else. So she concocted this story about being, arrested or kidnapped. Yeah, she had been kidnapped or whatever. And then miraculously, she made her way back to America safely after being kidnapped and taken through Mexico and all this other type of stuff. So she was basically one of the first, if not the most prominent Karens, making up these crackpot lies and things to just, distort reality in order to get over. Aimee Semple McPherson was just trying to get over in every way, from leading people in a bunk religion, to lying to the people about her sexual desires, when she just knew she she had a hot coochie that needed some servicing, and she was like, I have to do this, y'all. But she knew the people wouldn't agree or understand, so she concocted that story. Fascinating story, true story. Aimee Semple McPherson, her church is in Los Angeles. Speaking of other locations in Los Angeles that are, prominent, the Griffith Observatory, obviously, Basquiat, took a trip there and decided to draw about it. So here it is. The James Dean movie was filmed there. All right. You can see the Hollywood sign from the observatory. So that's probably why he put Hollywood there. Not because the observatory is in Hollywood. It isn't. It's in Griffith Park. But you can see the Hollywood sign from there. So I think that's why he put that there. Gotta look at that. Let's see what else he's got here. The finely chased flintlock pistol. All right. So they say the first pistol was created, or the first gun was created in China. Gunpowder and the first projectile was created in China. The handgun, I think the Winston, or something. I don't know. It was made in America, right? Whatever the history is. Moving right along. Oh, I said Winston. I meant Winchester. That's what I meant for the gun. Okay, on this one, let's look at this. Robespierre, the royal family fled from Paris in June 1791. So he's got a piece of a story there. He's got a piece of a story he's sharing there. That's a story to explore. The royal family fled from Paris in 1791. He's giving us world history at every turn. All right, there are no words there. What did he draw? Could that be a car? Could that be something else? I don't know. It's one of the panels. I think we have to zoom out in order to see what that looks like or what that could possibly be. Got to zoom out. Okay, there it is. Charles, maybe the 11th, maybe the 14th, but all I see clearly is Charles 10th. Again, as I mentioned, Charles the 10th, born or died on October 9th, so that's the 10-9 reference. The other words I can't make out. Again, we have to zoom out to see what all Basquiat wanted us to see. There we go. Korea. There it is. Korea, a mention of Korea. So another Easter egg for me. Another one, all right? There we have, I think he wrote Canton, Swiss Canton. One thing that I learned after traveling to Switzerland is that Switzerland has cantons. Like in China, there are cantons. In fact, the Chinese language, Cantonese, means, the language spoken in that region, in the canton, if I'm not mistaken, Cantonese. What is a canton? I don't know. Community, neighborhood, region. Yeah, I think region is the best. Is the best word. Is the best synonym to canton. All right, this is the last one. Oh, I guess I pulled this one back up because it piqued my curiosity. So we're back at the start. Negus. Did I mention that prior? I don't know. I spent so much time talking on this. I don't know what order, you saw these. Yeah, I think this is a repeat of some of the things that we've already seen. Anywho, Negus, Jesus, Abyssinia. He's talking about Ethiopia. He's also talking about India with Nadir Shah right there. He's got an image of a face there. He's got the number 10. 10 is there. Abyssinia, Ethiopia, Negus, King of Kings, Jesus. Yeah. So now we're looking at another work here, one that I hadn't seen before. This exhibit, I hadn't seen it in any catalogs. So the story goes, all of these works were made in Los Angeles. All right. Made on Market Street is the name of this exhibit. Made on Market Street. So you can see he has an image of a black face. He has a UFO. He has a skyscraper. What looks to be an Asian motif building, and a building in Asian motif. There's also, if you look to the left of the center, there's what looks like a mosque. Could be like a minaret and some other Islamic or maybe some Turkish stylized buildings. For me, I've traveled to Islam, or I've traveled to Islam. I've traveled to Islamic countries. I've been to Saudi Arabia. I lived in Saudi Arabia, Oman, as well as traveled to Qatar, Bahrain, and United Arab Emirates. So I think he was drawing Islamic motif buildings, or buildings with Islamic styles. So I'm zooming in here at this point. I can't say much about this one because I don't have. I don't know. I guess we have to study it more. Apple of Sodom. There are some references to chemistry, alchemy. There's the space shuttle. There's the Islamic motif there that I was mentioning. There's the Negroid face. It's coming up at the top there. Yeah, there's chemistry in this one. So he has like a chemical compound, a molecular structure. He's got the chemical. He's got it worked out, and he's written it on there. There's also so many things, from the UFO to the face to the atoms. Then we have the Apple of Sodom, Mediterranean. What is that? And then it said Pearl Street. All right. It says the Apple of Sodom, so maybe that red thing is an apple. Bayard, Pell Street, Pearl Street. Are those streets in New York? Are they in Los Angeles? I've never heard of them. Now, you'd have to turn this image upside down to read what he's written. In the bottom right corner there, it looks like polonium or something. Polonium. I think that might be polonium source of alpha particles. That's what it says. Polonium source of alpha particles. So he's got, what is that? That's chemistry, but that's also microbiology. What is that? Atomic fusion, atomic science, So he's got some things there. Anatomy is a part of his artwork. So it looks to be a head with two arms. So it's a body of some sort, stylized body maybe, or it could also be the bones of a animal or a figure. I have no idea what that is. It kind of looks like it could be a child, a seal, a dog. So I have no idea. I see another face, two eyes. What is that? Detecting film. And then we're coming up on the third face at the bottom here with the skyscraper to the left there. Yeah. Alrighty. We're going to have to speed this one along. Speed it along. All right. All right. This one I think is hilarious because there I was at the museum it's a gallery. It's not a museum. It's a gallery. But there I was surrounded by security guards everywhere. These were black men and women who were securing the place. And that's, I think, exactly who Basquiat is mentioning here when he uses the phrase museum security. He's always talking about us. He's always talking about black people. And there he has quite prominently written museum security. So when this piece is displayed in a gallery or at the museum, and you have museum security who are black or brown people, that makes me laugh. Well, I would laugh only to protect myself from crying, because the reality is we are stuck in that position, in that role. Basquiat is very conscious of race. Very conscious of race. And so he's speaking for us. He's speaking the hard truths. And the hard truths are, that is where you see us in those positions as, security guards. Not so. And if it weren't for Basquiat, we wouldn't be on the walls. We wouldn't be celebrating our art on the walls. So, so when I was in the gallery today, talking to the museum security or the gallery security, I was sorely disappointed that they didn't know a lot about Basquiat. I'm like, he's speaking for us. He is our liberation. He is give us free. If give us free were an artist, he is that guy for us. So we got to celebrate him. There was no shade, no hate or anything. It was just like they just didn't know. They weren't up on it. But he is speaking for, freedom, for liberation, for black people. He's saying black people stand up. It's a beautiful work. Papa Doc, horrible leader, Haitian leader. My initials, LAW, are in there. It's beautiful. All right, the man with the Z hat. I believe that's Toxic. That's Basquiat's homeboy, Toxic. Story goes, Toxic, Ramel Z, and Basquiat all were in Los Angeles hanging out. That's why the painting Hollywood Africans was created, to celebrate the time that they spent together. There's another painting, Hollywood Africans outside of the Chinese theater or something. It's a long title, but there are two paintings that pay homage to the experiences of Toxic, Ramel Z, and Basquiat in Los Angeles, because they were all young guys hanging out in LA doing their thing, and it was commemorated in a work of art by Basquiat. I met Toxic. He signed my my gallery book from the show, the King Pleasure show. That was dope. We're speeding it up here so we can get quick look. Oh, one other thing that I really love about this one is the mention of Meteor. There, I was in the movie Meteor Man. That's another Easter egg for your boy. Right there, that's an Easter egg for me. Well, I'm not, for your man, I'm not your boy, right? Meteor Man. And then it's so coincidental that the colors are black and gold, just like in the movie Meteor Man. The Golden Lords had black and gold as their colors. Crazy coincidence indeed.
I think, thoughts is powerful in all facets. Because even my career, even my life, things end up turning out exactly how I visualized them. Not in this time frame I expected. You know what I'm saying? You always want shit to happen overnight. Mm-hmm. But, I just had clear visions.
You're at 109 right now.
So here you see 109 on this painting, all color cast from 1982. I was hoping to see this work of art at the gallery, but it wasn't there. It wasn't included in the show. I don't know. It's been about a month or probably a couple of months ago when I went to Venice, California to film this. This is right in front of the studio where Basquiat created the artwork that tonight's exhibition is based upon. So right behind those walls, behind those doors, that's where Basquiat created all of that work. And it's a blessing that it was right here in Los Angeles, because I was able to hop in the car, drive on over, and film this little few minutes or so. I had the drone, and I was this is a little montage that I created here with some trips that I I made to the California African American Museum, as well as the Broad Museum. You can see some of Jean-Michel Basquiat's artwork, as well as another black artist. I don't know his name. There's Nipsey Hussle star on the Walk of Fame. Probably like 2 to 3 years ago now, I participated in Cyclavia. My wife and I participated in Cyclavia. So this was just some footage from there. And then if you ever travel around Los Angeles, you may come across these large murals by Mike Norris. So I just wanted to include that in these shots. So, yep, tonight was the night. Let's see, it's March 7th, and I went to the Made on Market Street exhibit for Jean-Michel Basquiat. I'll mention this. I was there and I saw Jean-Michel Basquiat's niece, Sophia. I remember her from the King Pleasure exhibit because I noticed that she, looked like him. I guess she favored him. And I was like, "Are you a member of the family?" And she was like, "Yep." And so I was like, "Would you mind signing my book?" So she signed it and everything. And that was cool. Tonight, although I saw her, and I'm sure she saw me, I didn't approach her or anything like that. You got to give people their space. But I definitely want to shout her out on this video to let her know, oh, I saw you. I definitely saw you. I didn't see anyone else there that I recognized, no celebrities or any people like that. I was standing next to a gentleman in line who is an art dealer, and we talked a little bit while we were standing in line. And he was even kind enough to say, follow me into the exhibit because he was on the VIP list. He kind of scared me because he mentioned a list, and I thought I wasn't going to get in because I wasn't on the list. I'm just a member of the public. I'm just a fan. And when he mentioned a list, I was like, you have to be on a list to get in there? Like, what the heck? So anyway, because we were talking, he was like, hey, come with me. I thought it was a nice gesture, However, at the same time, I was like, well, it is a public event. There's no reason for me to follow you in. I'm going to get in regardless. We were standing next to each other, and he was standing just in front of me, and so it really didn't matter. And so once I got in, then I went and did my own thing. But I kind of felt as if he was like saying, hey, I got you in. Now stick with me, But I was like, are you kidding, dude? I don't know you, man. But anyway, yeah, so I didn't know anyone there except for Sophia. And I was talking to the other guy, an art dealer named Jimmy. Nice guy. I just, I was on a mission to see the exhibit for myself, not to be, not to socialize really. And that's what I did. I was able to look at and appreciate the artwork, for what it is at my own pace. What you're looking at now this is another studio, one of Basquiat's studio where he created his artwork. But this one is the one that's located in New York City at 57 Great Jones. And this is where Jean-Michel Basquiat died in 1988 of a heroin overdose. So sad, But again, I was paying tribute to Basquiat by going and visiting these places to see the places where he was, where he lived, and get a vibe for it. And I think I did that. All right. So peace and blessings, y'all. This is iSee109, and I'm out.
October 9th.
Yes, sir.
That's where it starts.
You're at 109 right now.